All right, it stopped spinning, so that means we're supposedly live. Michael Bunker here. I made it. Barely. Hope you guys could be here. Let me know if you are here. Let me know if the audio and the video is okay. Come on into the comments section. Type in where you are. This and that and the other. You guys know the deal here. That way I can know if I should be doing this or doing something else. It's 100 degrees here in the CTX, but right about there. I think it was 99 right at about 15 minutes ago. So it's probably 99, but we're going to call it 100. A little bit humid. And I am getting over a bout of food poisoning and massive dehydration. At least I hope I am. We're going to talk a little bit about that, maybe. If anybody shows up, we'll have to see. Mary's here. Daniel's here. All right. Pat's here. You guys come in, type in where you are, this and that. Let's all get seated, get arranged. I've got my beverages, rehydration beverages. I got a Gatorade and I got a sparkling water, which you guys are going to see me drinking throughout the program. Hey, by the way, if you're new here, my name is Michael Bunker. This is the Bunker Nation. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to be a host for the evening. Glad you could be here. There's lots of different platforms you may be watching me on. Maybe you're watching me on Facebook, maybe watching on YouTube. There's like 3 different Facebook platforms. Maybe you're watching me on Periscope. I don't know. And anyway, come on in, and if you have a comment section where you are, type in where you are, say hi, hit the like button, especially if you're on YouTube. We especially like the likes on YouTube. And we're going to talk about a few things, give you guys an update. I had a very, very, very interesting bout with food poisoning starting Sunday morning. Hit me while I was at church. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. As soon as everybody's here or anybody's here. I went back to my old microphone just because there were some complaints about the sound on the last few videos. So I'm hoping that the sound's going to be good. And I don't have a light going on because I didn't have time. I have neglected everything the last 3 days because I've been in bed for the most part. All day Sunday, all day Monday. What is today? Tuesday? Most of the day today. All right. You guys come on in here, hit the like button. We're going to start talking about this. I want to give everybody an update just because I know some people have been worried about me, been praying for me and all this kind of stuff. Okay, I'm going to give you an update of what's going on. Then it's going to lead into a discussion on what happened, how to avoid it, how to treat it, and how to hopefully get over it. Yeah, dehydration is a very, very serious thing not to be messed with. It is much more serious than other things that are going around. Okay, so Sunday morning, I have a video where Danielle and I went to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. She just went to do some video with me, and we did a nice video. I did a whole workout. I planned on editing it and putting it up Sunday evening, but that's not what happened. So I got the workout done. We went by and bought donuts after the workout. Got donuts. Came home, started getting ready for church. I was extremely hungry, even after, because I only ate one donut. I am self-controlled, and I was extremely hungry. And there's some things I have to explain, because if I don't explain them, then you could possibly get the wrong idea. We live differently than you. Who didn't know that? We live off grid. We don't have refrigeration. We don't have a freezer. We have an ice box. We buy ice and we put it in an ice box, and we have some things that stay fairly cold, but we don't have refrigeration. Secondly, because we've lived this way for a very long time, we've learned a lot about food and food safety, and we've learned how to process food, the difference between home processed food and store processed food. We understand that natural products that come right off the farm, that haven't been pasteurized, haven't been chemically treated, haven't been sprayed, haven't been had everything in them killed through irradiation, are much healthier and much safer. very, very, very rarely cause any type of food poisoning. And most things can be eaten even after, when they are natural. One of the evidences of God that I've experienced in my life is that every natural food has bacteria, good bacteria on it that turn it into something else. So you have milk turns into cheese or turns into sour cream or all these different things. So we know about this stuff. I've written about this stuff. You guys have heard me talk about it. I've got books, all that kind of stuff. That said, sometimes we, and by we I mean me, do things that are really stupid. Really, we forget basic principles. And one of the basic principles is that when you can meat, you must get the temperature high enough above the temperature of boiling. That's why we use pressure canning above 212 degrees for long enough that it kills everything bad or good that's in there. So there's no good bacteria, no bad bacteria. Then the can is sealed and you can put it away. And as long as it was all done properly, it's safe for a very, very long period of time. On Friday, I opened up a can of our new pork that we've been processing, and I ate probably 3-4 ounces of it, and I gave 3 or 4 ounces of it to Rascal, and who appreciates it very, very much. I set that jar on the counter and then went about the rest of my day. It was late in the day. Saturday, I was busy cleaning up and I was doing a lot of things and I didn't even think about it. Sunday, we got back from the gym. I was very hungry. I looked down. I saw a jar half full of pork. I didn't remember that it had been Friday, and I didn't remember how long it had been sitting there. I did not remember that it had been 95 degrees the day before. And I thought, this will still be okay. Now, you got to remember, too, we're a hardy bunch. We eat stuff that other people probably would not normally eat because they don't know any better. And so, yeah, there's some arrogance, some egotism, some stupidity, all of that blended in. So I got this pork. There was about, I don't know, three ounces left. Second thing that happened at the same time. That morning when I woke up at 4 o'clock, I always make 3 beverages. I make coffee. I make a pre-workout drink. I make a post-workout shake. And we ran out of propane that morning. It's on the video. And I'm talking about the fact that we ran out of propane, so I couldn't make coffee. So I had not had coffee, but there was no propane. So I go fast forward. I'm getting ready for church. I see these 3 ounces of pork. I'm a little bit arrogant and stupid and not thinking about what I'm doing. I normally would pour that into a pan and I would cook it, which would probably kill anything that was bad that was in it. Canned food is already cooked, so you don't have to cook it if it's fresh, if you just opened it. Hello, Frank. All of these things I messed up on. I took a can that was already open. I didn't cook it. I put it in a bowl. I poured some no-calorie barbecue on there, and I ate it. As I was eating it, all of the stuff that probably could happen occurred in my mind. And then I thought, you know what? I'm bulletproof. I'm tough. I'm a tough guy. I go through a lot of stuff. Most cases of food poisoning, there are 48 million cases of food poisoning in the United States a year. That means 1 in 6 people get it. Most of the time, it's pretty minor. Falls maybe a little bit of diarrhea, maybe some throwing up. There's actually way more than that because a lot of times we don't consider the discomfort you get after Taco Bell automatically after 30 minutes as food poisoning, and that's probably what it is. But officially, there are 48 million cases a year. 1 in 6 people get it. Of those, about, oh gosh, I'm trying to recall, something like 251,000 cases require hospitalization. Of those, there are 3,000 deaths. So 0.00006 percent chance of death from, and you usually don't die from food poisoning. You usually die from dehydration if you die. So the thing was, is I had left the pork out way too long. It had been out in the hot temperatures. I didn't cook it, which I should have done. I was arrogant and stupid. And then I actually thought about it while I was eating it. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it, which was another mistake. And so I ate all of it, and we went to church. And the sermon had just about started, and I knew exactly what was happening. I knew exactly what I'd done. I knew exactly the minute I felt it. And I told Danielle, I said, I have to go to the bathroom. And I knew I was nauseous. It wasn't diarrhea. It was nausea. And I just knew things were about to get bad. So I went out to the car. I texted Sarah. I told her, tell your mom I got food poisoning. I'm going to be out in the car, and I can watch the sermon out in the car. About 30 minutes later, I started throwing up, and I threw up for 12 hours. This was not a normal case of food poisoning. I have had food poisoning before. I've even had food poisoning where I've lost close to 10 pounds before. But I threw up for 12 hours, maybe a little bit more, maybe 13 hours. It was pretty bad, and I knew it was pretty bad, and I knew that the worst part of it was that I was not going to be able to try to keep. You can't out beverage that type of vomiting because every time I took a sip, I was throwing it up. And so I knew it was going to be a problem. I know I don't go to the doctor, and I don't go to the emergency room unless I actually think I'm about to die. Yeah, so very good news. You're right, Frank and Mary, that it was nothing to do with the canning process. It was nothing to do with that. 100%, I know exactly what happened. I know exactly what I did. It was all human error. Post opening the can, I had already eaten from that can earlier, and it was fine. So we got home, and Danielle was trying to take care of me, but there wasn't much to do other than bring me a bucket. And it got really bad, and I knew it was worse than any that I'd ever had before. And I've had food poisoning quite often before. And so she had to leave about 4 o'clock because she had to work the next day, and she had to take Sarah and go. And so she asked me, do you want me to stay or do you want me to go? I said, y'all go ahead and go. This is just something I'm going to have to wait out. I was trying to stay hydrated. I could not keep any water down, but I started sucking on ice as much as I could. At around, I want to say 7 or 8 o'clock, it wasn't getting any better, but I was able to start sipping water. And I threw up at about 10 or 11 o'clock. That was pretty major. At that point, I knew I was in trouble because I was severely dehydrated. I could feel my kidneys cramping. I had not peed that day. It was really, my mouth was just completely parched. All of the things they tell you are the reason you should go to the hospital, because the very serious thing about food poisoning is not the food poisoning, it's dehydration. And so around, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock, I started forcing water and drinking as much as I can. Had I planned ahead, I know how to make, and I have a video somewhere on here about how to make activated charcoal. I should have had some around. My wife probably has some around. I just don't know where it was. And I was just too sick. I was too sick to get up and move around and look for stuff. I was too sick to start thinking of other solutions. So I was just pouring water down, even though I knew I couldn't keep it down. And that was going for a while. And then at midnight, I threw up what seemed to me at the time like 1.5 gallons, maybe 2 gallons. I looked down and I said it couldn't be that because it's a 5-gallon bucket, but it was a lot. And I thought, oh man, if I can't start keeping water down, I'm going to have to drive to the emergency room. It was that bad. I was cramping really, really bad. My kidneys were aching. My head was aching. And so I started drinking more water. I took some electrolyte powder in some water and just kept going and kept going. And I finally fell asleep around 2 o'clock. Now here's where it gets more interesting. We're in the middle and I'm sweating because it's 100 degrees right now. So I should not be doing this. I just put this shirt on less than 45 minutes ago. I'm supposed to Monday morning load up a pig to take him to the butcher. I'm all by myself. We got a pandemic going on and you can't get a butcher date. You just cannot get a butcher date. And so this is the third pig we're taking in, and I got a butcher date in Cross Plains I have to have the pig there at 9 a.m. I'd already asked my neighbor if I could borrow his truck and trailer. He said, yes, it was all ready to go. That means I got to go get it. I got to get a pig loaded, which is last time this happened, this scar here. Last time Danielle and I loaded a pig, and that was with two of us. So I got to get a pig loaded. So at 2 o'clock, I realized I was finally starting to I wasn't throwing up anymore. I'd stopped throwing up and I'm starting to pound liquids as best I can. I woke up at 4:15 to start getting prepared for taking this pig and driving at 40 miles. And I was weak. I could barely keep my eyes open. I could walk about 6 or 7 steps without having to rest. It hurt me to get dressed. But I did it. And I just prayed that I was going to be able to get this pig loaded. It wasn't going to go as bad as last time where I ended up should have got sutures. I got the truck backed up, went in there. He faltered a little bit. He didn't really want to go, but he finally, when I got in there with him, which is the most dangerous part of it, he climbed right up in the trailer, climbed up in the front of it. I was able to get the door shut and all that. So then I had a 40-minute drive up to Cross Plains, delivered him, got all that done, pretended like I was okay as I gave the cut sheet to the butcher, drove all the way home. Then I had to do all my chores because the animals still have to eat and drink. Got all my chores done, then I collapsed in bed. This was Monday, and I did not move or get out of bed or anything most of the day, almost the whole day. It was finally last night around 7 o'clock, I came down to the office and watched some YouTubes. And I was trying to rehydrate. Woke up this morning, severe headache. And so I was working on that, thinking that was still dehydration. Then I realized I had never had that coffee Sunday morning or all day Sunday or all day Monday. And my headache was probably coffee oriented. So had about 2 or 3 ounces of coffee this morning. Finally started eating, had my first meal this afternoon. And I've been basically just pounding down Pedialyte, Gatorade, water, sparkling water, all of these things. So that's the story, and that's where we are right now. I weighed yesterday morning, I weighed, and I had lost 10 pounds in 24 hours. Of course, most of that's water weight or whatever food was left in me. And I thought that I might have gained most of that back, or so at least half of it back. But this morning I was up 2 pounds. So hopefully after today, we'll be back on feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. I feel good. I feel better. My headache's gone. I'm feeling more hydrated. And so I hope everybody is satisfied now. I'm going to be okay. All right. So here's the talk, and it's coming from somebody who knows. You got to be careful. First of all, I want to reiterate, homegrown food. Yes, you're right, Mary. I embrace discomfort. Homegrown food, home processed food, home fermented foods are dozens of times safer than anything you buy in the store. You are literally 1,000 times more likely to get food poisoning from a fast food restaurant or from lettuce you buy in a bag at a store or strawberries or something like that than you are from anything homegrown, anything home fermented, anything home prepared, anything home canned. You are dozens, if not hundreds of times more likely to get sick from store-bought milk than you are ever to get sick from raw milk. So I don't want anybody thinking that this particular episode had anything whatsoever to do with my lifestyle other than I got lazy and I know the rules and I did not obey them. All right. The one difference between most home fermented, home prepared foods, home canned and preserved foods is that meat that is canned has been cooked at such a high temperature that there are no good bacteria in there to fight the bad bacteria. So once you've opened that container and it's sat out for a long period of time at a high temperature, it's going to be bad. There's nothing to get in there to make, unless you highly salted it, like severely salted it, it's going to go bad. What I normally would have done with that open jar is I would have gotten rid of it in one way or another. Depending on how long it had been there, most of the time, the animals are not affected by things that affect us. They're not affected by them at all. So if it had only been out there 12 hours or something like that, I probably would throw it out to the chickens or I would mix it in with the rat. We've never had an animal die from feed or anything like that, or even appear to be sick. However, that one had been out for long enough, I would have discarded it another way. So either over the fence where the animals can't get to it or buried it or something, or in the outhouse hole. All of those things are options. So that's the lesson. And the second lesson is to learn that this can happen to you. It can happen to you during an emergency. It could happen to you during a grid down situation. Don't panic. Remember that the discomfort that you feel, the food poisoning itself, is not the real danger. There are some strains of botulism and those kind of things which are fatal, in which case there's not really a whole lot you could do. The most obvious danger and the most usual danger is the dehydration. What I would do differently is I would start the ice chips or ice cubes earlier. I would definitely have taken some activated charcoal. You can get activated charcoal capsules on Amazon. You ought to have a bottle nearby. What that can do, activated charcoal is basically charcoal that's been powdered to the point where there's a whole lot of surface area. And so that surface area, if you were to put it under a microscope, is very, very, very porous. And when you consume it, it will absorb toxins and will absorb poison and it will absorb things and allow you to evacuate it so that it doesn't do as much damage. So I probably would have taken some activated charcoal pretty early on in the thing. And I also would have forced liquids earlier. If we had the way to do it, and we have in the past, and now my wife is a certified nursing assistant, we're going to probably try to procure some IV materials. An IV would have been perfect. And there are ways to do this without going to the doctor. I don't recommend it. I recommend that you follow whatever it is that keeps me from being sued. But I would not personally, I'm talking about me, Michael Bunker. I don't go to the doctor unless I think that I'm going to die very soon. I've been to the doctor once. I'm going to say 20 years, 25 years. And that was when I was absolutely certain I was having a heart attack. And I was down here at the office and I had huge instantaneous chest pains, all shooting pains down my arm, all the signs of a heart attack. And I had Danielle drive me to the emergency room, and it turned out to be indigestion, or no, it was whatever they call it, acid reflux or something like that. Turned out to be okay. My heart was fine. All right, so I would have activated charcoal. Put that on your list of things you probably should have nearby. Secondarily, I would make sure that everybody knows the rules. When you buy a store-bought product, usually that product has had some process that has killed everything in it that's good or bad. So it kills the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, which means it must be refrigerated. And if it's not, then if it's been out, you need to get rid of it. Those rules are different. We do a lot of home fermentation. We do a lot of things. That meat, had it not been canned, had it been fresh pork that had been lightly salted and put in that jar and left out there for 2 days, would not have been bad. It would not have been bad. First of all, the salt would have inhibited any of the bad bacteria, but there's good bacteria in there that would have started fermenting it. It would eventually go bad, most likely, but you don't know, depending on all. There's a lot of different elements. I've done a lot of meat preservation. I've done, as you know, making bacon. This was not a failure of the system. This was a failure of me being stupid and doing the wrong thing. That's right, Richard. So I'm here if you guys have questions and comments. I am going to stop right now and drink so that I don't enhance or aggravate my dehydration problems. Signs of dehydration. First of all, if your pee is not nearly clear, you are dehydrated. If it is dark or yellow or orange, and you didn't just take a bunch of vitamins, you are severely dehydrated. If you are not peeing fairly regularly, you are dehydrated. You can tell in your skin. You should be able to tell in your face. You should be able to tell in your eyes. If you wake up at the appointed time and you are groggy, feeling like you want to go back to sleep, incapable of concentrating, all of those things that are normal, it's not normal. You just slept for 8 or 10 hours. You didn't drink during that time, and you are dehydrated. You should drink a glass of water immediately upon opening your eyes, and you will wake up and you will be feel a lot better. Most people are dehydrated most of the time, and it's a very dangerous condition. All right. Yeah, I do. I thank you, Mary, for that. I feel a lot better. I am thin, Colleen. That 10 pounds is what basically, without the vomiting, is what bodybuilders do the last 24 hours before a meet. You know, they can lose up to 10 pounds in 24 to 48 hours because they dehydrate themselves, and it's very dangerous. So yes, I look very gaunt. Lord willing, that'll come back with the rehydration and all that. Peeing clear, happy mountaineer. Peeing yellow, sickly fellow. That's right. That's right. We were always joking around as children, making jokes about things look like urine. Only if you're dehydrated. Yeah, your peeing should be clear. And you should pee often. I don't know how people don't do it more often. If you're not peeing for hours on end, you are dehydrated and you are doing damage to your body. I may have done, it's possible with this extreme dehydration, which is what I would consider what I had, that I did permanent damage. My kidneys are still sore. You can also do brain damage. I don't think I've had brain damage yet. We'll see. All right, Colleen, I think my hair being pulled back has something to do with me looking gaunt too. I just didn't want to mess with it today. I don't want to burn any extra calories by constantly pushing my hair out of my face. Daniel, that's a good one. I'm sweating pretty bad right now. I appreciate you bringing realism to the show, but think we could all do without you regularly trying to die. That's right. This is like the second time since May that I've tried to die. All right. Well, I appreciate all you guys. If you have any questions or comments, get them in. I appreciate all of you guys also liking the video. I would love it if everybody that was here and everybody that's not here and everybody that's future people, by the way, the experts say I'm supposed to say, hey, future people, I appreciate you watching, and I would love it if you would like the video, if you learned anything, or if it was helpful, or if you were entertained, and subscribe as well, because I need to tell you all, as of this morning sometime, we had 1,804 subscribers. They say, that is the experts, that there's a turning point at about 2,000 where YouTube begins to recommend your videos to more people. I would love to hit that 2,000 number, but that would require people not just watching the videos, but also subscribing. I tell you, I've got some really, really good content coming up, a bunch of stuff planned. I just told you I videoed Sunday morning, but wasn't able to make a video out of it because I got sick. So this is going to be my dehydration and food poisoning video that will be up in perpetuity for anybody who wants to look it up and can say that sometimes I, the expert on surviving off-grid, almost die. Seems like it's regular, but it's not. Sometimes I make mistakes and I do stupid things, and what I did was stupid. And I can't tell you it'll never happen again, but I can tell you that the sermon that the preacher preached while I was sick, lying in the car, was on the meek inheriting the earth. And I can tell you that I probably needed some meekness. There was most likely some lack of meekness and humility in me that needed to be doctored by the divine physician. So I appreciate that he loves me enough to correct me. And I will try to do better, I promise. All right, everybody. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm not seeing a bunch of questions, so I'm going to assume there aren't any. And it's sweaty in here. I'm going to try to get outside, maybe lay in a hammock a little bit, catch a little breeze. Hey, you guys. I just froze up what I was going to say, but what I was going to say was, I love you all. Lord willing, I'll see you again tomorrow or the next day. And I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate you guys tuning in. You're the reason we do this. Thank God for all of you. I'll talk to you soon.